Hey, it's been a while.
24 frames.
Hello, Toontown, and welcome back to 24 Frames. I'm sorry it's taken so long. A lot's been going on. 2017 was kind of, well... yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, let's get started with a new year with a review of The Adventures of Tintin. Originally released October 23rd, 2011, The Adventures of Tintin is a Steven Spielberg film based on the classic comics of the same name. Originally released in 1929, the comics are by Hirschi? Hold on a second. Written by Hergé, Belgian comic artist, originally starting with The Adventures of Tintin in the Land of the Soviet Union in 1929. Now, unlike my Asterix review, I have actually read a few Tintin comics, and I like what I've read. These things are just pure adventure stories from beginning to end. I mean, look, everyone's got their thing, right? For some people, it's gory slasher films, cheesy romance novels, B-movie action series from the 80s. For me, it's old school adventure stories. I love adventure stories. Find the magic item, rescue the princess, defeat the evil wizard, random kid in modern day gets sucked into fantasy world. I love adventures, whether they're movies, books, or games. And the Tintin comics are just pure, straight, find the random thing, defeat the bad guy style adventure stories. Now, this film draws primarily from the book The Secret of the Unicorn, but it also draws heavily from The Crab with the Golden Claws and The Treasure of Red Rackham. So this isn't an adaptation of a Tintin story as much as it's an adaptation of 3 Tintin stories, which, to be fair, all did tie together to tell one large plot anyway. And it's a pretty solid adaptation. Yeah, it's tweaking the plot a bit to make it flow better as a single entity, but a lot of sequences are pulled straight from the original comic. Usually cranked up a bit to make them a little more intense for this movie, or make the action scene run a bit longer. Granted, that adherence to the comic does come with some flaws, like there's a whole subplot about the Thompson detectives and this pickpocket they're chasing, and it's so dull and feels like such padding just to keep them around and get some slapstick. And yeah, it's from the comic, and it felt like padding in that too. So, the plot of this is actually pretty simple to help us get an adventure going. Tintin's at a market, he buys an old model ship, some people try to buy it off him, he refuses. Later on, he finds his place ransacked, and then there's dead bodies, and he goes to investigate further because adventure story, and it leads to meeting a drunk sailor named Captain Haddock, and a grand adventure hunting for pirate treasure that takes them all over the world. There's planes, there's flashbacks to grand pirate battles, and the most elaborate and glorious Spielberg wonder I have ever seen.
Pardon me! Sorry!
The film's narrative through line is actually pushed forward not so much by Tintin, but by Captain Haddock, who does have something of an arc. Again, no one has any deep arcs in this, but Haddock's the only one who feels like he's going through any sort of transformation as the film progresses. He's also our comedy set piece, with Tintin playing something of a straight man to him. And they have a good banter, which is important because they are what's carrying this movie.
What have you done?
Oh, no need to thank me.
What?
Well, you looked a little cold, so I lit a wee fire.
In a boat?
He's being played by Andy Serkis, and all of Haddock's stuff is beautifully exaggerated and full of energy and light. In fact, the whole film is full of a lot of energy, but Haddock especially is just batting 1,000 in every sequence he's in.
Oh no! No again! Come here, my baby! Oh, 10,000 thundering typhoons! Come here, you pill-fang parakeet!
Now, in case you're wondering why I'm not giving you a more detailed plot synopsis like I usually do, it's because, again, this is a simple adventure story, and giving you too much plot would spoil the fun of you watching it yourself. So instead, let's talk about the gorgeous motion capture work done by Weta Digital. Weta Digital is located in New Zealand and was originally founded by Peter Jackson, Richard Taylor, and Jamie Selkirk in 1993. They've worked on several films that you may or may not have heard of, and their work is absolutely awe-inspiring, especially their motion capture work in things like Lord of the Rings and Planet of the Apes. Motion capture is recording data from live actors and using that data on 3D models to help the animators get a more realistic style into their animation. If you've ever looked at the behind the scenes for some of the more modern movies or games and wondered, why is this guy in a bodysuit and covered in tennis balls? That's why. And the motion capture work in Tintin is gorgeous to behold. Not just the fantastic acting, obviously, but also the small, subtle details in every character's facial expressions, body language. The rhythms of the animation are just glorious to watch. Even if this wasn't a fun adventure story, I would probably watch this film half a dozen times just to admire it. And then you also have this gorgeous design work, allowing everyone to have a more realistic look without falling too deep into the uncanny valley. I suspect that's mainly due to the more exaggerated features like Haddock and the twins' big bulbous noses, because Tintin's features are a bit more grounded and he's kinda dancing on the valley's edge. But as the film progresses, you kinda don't notice it anymore, and it just all blends together into this one tight nugget of pretty. You know what? I'm gushing. Let me try to make this a little less fanboy-y. The thing that makes this film work is that it is a simple story executed with grandiose vision and incredible talent. From the simple but intricate shots to the lovely effects and fog work to that single one-er action sequence, which blows my mind every time I watch it because look at this. Look at this! I mean, yeah, pulp adventure story with great direction and high quality acting and animation. This film is basically tailor-made to tick off all of my boxes. Look, if you're the type of person who, when you think fun movie, you think Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Star Wars A New Hope, or John Carter, Tintin is a movie you probably want to check out. It's just a fun story. Likeable characters, gorgeous action set pieces, easy and simple and just fun to get into. It's around pretty much everywhere digitally. In fact, I think it's streaming on Netflix right now. If you want an actual physical copy, this film has been out for 7 years now, so you might have a little more work to do to track that down. So, thank you guys for watching. I'm D, and this has been 24 Frames. See you next time. Good to be back.